Happy evening to all of you, and Sri Ram Madhavji, who will be here in some time to share his insights on Indian economy. The other speakers, Rahul and Ankit. And I'm sure this evening is going to be very interesting, informative and educative, because the topic is itself very exciting. Reasonomics, economics with reasoning, economics with logic. Rajesh called me and said, sir, there's so much that has happened in terms of Indian economy, in terms of transformation, and he wanted me to speak for 5 minutes, all that happened in last 5 years. So I said, okay, fair enough, let me see how much can I cover, and then see how we can take it forward. Last 5 years have been very different from last 10 years prior to this government. All of you must be experiencing it. There were battery of reforms that have taken place. The pace of reforms and the pace at which the administration was running, I think we as a business community were not used to. It's like Ankit can relate better because he's from CureFit. It's like we have never gone to the gym. The first day we hit the gym and they say do some warm-ups. Once we do warm-ups, we say, bas karo yaar, we have done lots for the day. And then they say, oh, no, you do some cardio. Then I said, okay, ab to bas karo, over first day, how much can we do? Then they say, no, you do weights. Then you do some muscle training. Then you do some push-ups. So he came, he said, let's formalize the economy. Let's digitize the economy. Let's do demonetization. Then I said, okay, we are all complying with the demonetization. Bas karo. Then they said, no, we'll do some more. We'll do RERA. Then we'll do GST. Then we'll do changes to GST. Then we'll do affordable housing, PMA, a lot of things. I think it's been eventful last 5 years. There's been so much talk about ease of doing business. That's debatable, how much of ease of doing business has happened. But definitely one thing all of us will admit is way of doing business has changed. Not necessarily ease of doing, but way of doing business has definitely changed. Now if you look at when Modi ji came and said Swachh Bharat, we all thought we should clean up surroundings, physical surroundings, keep premises clean. But I think he was also hinting at Swachh Bharat at across all levels, economic level, at macro level, to clean up all the mess that has been created. He's talking about at a micro level in terms of business processes, to regularize things and all of that. Most importantly, once you have physically clean premises, and then you have business process regulatory system which is compliance driven, you will automatically become peaceful at a mental level because we all live in our minds. Coming to macro, broadly if you look at inflation point of view, it's been more or less under control. There's no ups and downs. The RBI has got now written policy about the inflation, which is a good thing. And from going forward from now, rate of interest should also come down, which is very good from the economy. Look at from GDP point of view, I think we've been achieving one of the highest growth rates so far. In terms of public distribution system, I think the efficiency that we have brought in is amazing. Look at rural spend that we have been doing, that's been growing consistently. Look at the infrastructure, roads that we are building, rail transformation that we are doing in terms of rail transport. A lot of changes in terms of the macro. Look at fiscal deficit. I think there's a lot of fiscal discipline that has come into play. Macro point of view, I think we are better placed than anybody else in terms of the other countries in the world. Look at from micro point of view, in terms of business processes, you all know that the kind of things that we are going to right now, most business houses are looking at compliance, consolidation and credibility. Comply with all rules and regulations because it's becoming so cumbersome exercise to comply. Of course, that's also keeping our entire way of doing business clean and neat. And consolidate because there are so many opportunities that are coming up in the industry, and build a credibility to your business. That's most important. Everybody in business will know that if you have a credibility in the business, you don't need a capital separately. Your credibility becomes your capital. Thereby you can do business. That's on a micro point of view. There are a few aspects I wanted to cover, primarily in terms of growth. Growth in any economy, if you look at, is determined by two important things. One is the credit offtake, The second is employment creation. Now, as far as the credit offtake is concerned, India has to go through a lot of changes because a lot of good money has gone to the bad entrepreneurs, or good money to good entrepreneurs, but business models have gone bad. So thereby, a lot of time and energy has been spent in recovering and setting right the system. So we had to look at one, corrective measure as to how do we recover all that has been given in terms of reducing NPS, etc. Second is a preventive measure. How do we ensure that these kind of things would not happen going forward, and the money reaches those people who are worthy of it and who can put to use and then grow. I think credit offtake is very important from growth point of view. Given the liquidity, given the inflation levels going forward, I think that's going to be very good in terms of business point of view. Second is employment creation. There's a lot of effort that has been put in terms of skilling India, because we have, as people keep saying time and again, they have a very young population, which if put to use will be very productive. If not, it can be very counterproductive. So that's the key challenge. Skilling in India is step toward that direction, because when we're talking about growth, we're not talking about growth in Bangalore in some industry specific or some segment specific. We are talking about inclusive growth. Now broadly, if you look at growth point of view, I can give our own example. Apart from a lot of residential, shopping complexes, the hotels, we also do a lot of commercial office space. Of 112 million square foot we have delivered so far, 70 million square foot is office space. And I'm happy to share that nothing of those 70 million square foot is empty, is vacant. So which means there's so much of offtake that is happening in terms of commercial space absorption. And nobody takes commercial space and lease and keep it empty. They are employing people. It's not just mere consolidation driven, it's also the new businesses coming and taking space. So thereby there is employment creation that is happening at various levels, but we need to look at from rural point of view, we need to look at from other unorganized sectors point of view as to whether the inclusive growth is happening or not. So, credit offtake and employment creation being two important drivers, I think they have been by and large in the direction where we are looking at. Specifically, I represent real estate industry. Specifically looking at real estate industry point of view, it's been surprises every day for us. So right from the beginning to now, as latest as somebody said, how is the new financial year? How is it doing? They said, so we just had a GST clarification on 12%, 8%, 5%, 1%. Whereas I was confused. We are starting our year on that note. There are a lot of reforms that have taken place in real estate industry. Good from the industry point of view, good for consumer point of view. Yes, there are temporary pains, but I'm sure in the long term, the winners are going to be all the stakeholders. Two things that just want to touch upon are, one is this government's, of course, a lot of governments have been working, but this government has put in a lot of effort, which is important from economy point of view, is the REITs, Real Estate Investment Trust. Most of the property developers used to build office spaces or commercial spaces or the hotels and own, which is non-residential segment, and they didn't know how to monetize the money. That capital was not churning. They are not able to unlock and redeploy that money. So the REITs is the avenue that has become now reality, and that's a new instrument that's been offered to HNIs, apart from equity markets in terms of mutual funds and stocks, apart from bonds or gold. This is one thing which can give you yield as well as growth. I think now in next couple of years, I've read a report which said close to 10 billion rupees of REITs that have been planned. That is 70,000 crores almost worth of offering that is going to come from REIT markets. That's a good sign. Second is the RERA. I think RERA has become a great game changer. Every industry has got some game changing moments, recognizing good players as against bad, separating men from boys. I think every industry has gone through, but real estate point of view, RERA has been a game changer, which will enable people to identify who is a trustworthy developer, brings in discipline as to how the money can be spent when you have taken money from the customers, makes developer responsible for delivering within time, within specification, defect liability period, so that customers can take informed decisions. Look at our industry, a huge amount of consolidation that is happening. Demand growth is not there. Demand is more or less where it was. See, let me give a case in example. If the demand was to be 100 before, it had fallen down to 50, 60, now it is back to 70, 80. It's not at original levels where we have seen. But the number of players who are meeting the demand, earlier if there were to be an example, say 1,000, now it is only 200. And there is more and more consolidation that is going to happen. Our growth is going to be now supply consolidation more than demand related. These are the key changes that have taken place. I think the journey has been very painful. I hope, and we all hope, that results are going to be wonderful in the coming years. This is a transition is always going to be painful in terms of implementation. Of course, implementation of some of the reforms could have been far better. Nobody is questioning about, we all are welcoming all the changes that have taken place. But now that we are through the transition period, we believe that the fruits of this transition from moving from one level of orbit to the next level are going to be enjoyed by everybody who is going to be part of this economy. I think we are geared up for the next big revolution in terms of growth. I think with the kind of government, stable government and policy reform that we have got, I think next decade should belong to India. With this, I end my keynote and over to Rashmi. Thank you.